no, honey. Don't think or talk like that, because if you do, that's just gonna be worse. Can you not tell me that right now? Like, that is not encouraging me whatsoever. Am I gonna be that woman that screams like a dying animal? Yeah, pretty sure it was. She checked me again and I was 10 centimeters. She's like, oh my gosh, your baby's head's right there. You're about to pop this baby out.
There you go. That's it. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep go. 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 Go.
See how big you are?
How's it gonna fit in that hole?
Yes, I'm in new clothes. This is probably a week after I recorded the first part, but we just need to keep this rolling. Here we go. The last thing I said was, the doctor came in, looked at my progression as a whole over several hours of me being there, and I did progress little by little into natural labor, which I praise God for, because really that was one of my biggest prayers, biggest desire. I wanted to go into labor naturally, and I did. I got into labor naturally. It was only God, because she wasn't supposed to be born until a week after that. And as a first-time mom, you usually go at least 2 full term or a couple weeks after full term. Doctor was like, listen, you could be here for days or you can get started on Pitocin. Those are my 2 options. I could be there for days or Pitocin, because they didn't want me to have my baby inside of me any longer because of the danger of high blood pressure. I decided to start with Pitocin. One thing made me feel better is that you can start with a very low dosage of Pitocin and then gradually increase. There are some women that just get that first little dose of Pitocin and immediately go into labor. So I was like, I was hoping that would happen to me. Well, it didn't. We started at level 1, and guys, hours and hours and hours passed. I went all the way up to, gosh, like, I don't know, once again, my husband would know the best, around level 20. And so the next doctor came in and said, listen, it doesn't look like the Pitocin is helping. Next step is to break your water. And so we decided, okay, well, even though I wanted that to happen naturally too, you know, I've learned that it's actually not as common as we think. We see that a lot in the movies, and I think that's why we expect our waters to break naturally. It does happen, but it doesn't happen as often as we think. We were like, okay, let's do it. We've done XYZ. This looks like it's the best choice for us, for my body. Guys, oh my gosh, this is where the climax of the story begins. They broke my water. If you're wondering what it feels like, at least for me, I didn't really feel much. It was just pressure. It actually felt extremely relieving. It felt good. It felt good. And you immediately feel a gush of water, and it's warm water, and it surprises you because it's so much water. It just starts gushing and gushing and gushing. So my water broke, felt great. Immediately I had to go to the bathroom. How convenient, right? It's like, hey guys, sorry, I know I'm pouring out of my body right now, but I need to go to the bathroom. So I went to the bathroom, and almost instantly my contractions were so painful. My body was able to reach the point naturally where it was painful, but it was not unbearable at all. I've definitely had worse pain, even with period cramps. Well, as soon as my water broke, I have never experienced a pain so strong and so really it was just consumable. And of course, like, I did everything I could because my desire was to go without epidural. I had researched as many things as I could to cope with labor pain. Breathing is one of the best tools to help you through contractions, through pain. And so I was ready. I'm like, I've been educated, here I go. Let's start breathing through these. It was hard. It was so hard. And you know, I did my best. I really did. I lasted around 6 hours. And guys, it wasn't gradual at all. I don't know the science or the anatomy behind this. In my head, this is what I feel like happened. As soon as my water broke, the Pitocin like surged into my body. My labor pain went from 0, not even to 100, to 1,000. It was so quick. My body wasn't prepared to handle that pain so drastically from 1 second to the next. And like I said, I tried for 6 long hours and I did everything I could. Something that I highly suggest for those of you, especially if you're trying to go without epidural, get a rocking chair in your delivery room. At least for me, everybody's different always, but for me, it was a lifesaver. And I even tried to go in the bouncy ball. I tried to go on the bed, even though I heard it was the worst place to labor, and it is. I tried and immediately I was like, oh no, I don't know what it is, but it like makes your pain worse or something. It's so strange. So I basically stayed in that rocking chair for the remainder of that portion of my labor. I immediately threw up pretty bad. It was rough. It was really rough. And yeah, it just rocked. I rocked through the contraction. Gosh, the importance of having a team that supports you is unreal and just knows you. I really hope with my next birth, I can kind of control that a little more, because I believe that God placed those specific nurses and doctors in that moment for a reason. My nurse, she was amazing when it comes to knowledge. She had been doing this for, I don't know, like I think it was 16 years. So she was seasoned, she was knowledgeable. And when there was a little trauma, she knew how to react. But can I just vent a little bit? She drove me crazy. I don't know why. I don't know if maybe she's done this so long that she's like desensitized to it. Like, oh, it's just another baby, another woman giving birth. Well, I was in the thick of it and it was so hard, guys. And she would say things like, cause she knew my goal was to not have epidural if I could. And so there was a point where I was just so terrified for the next contraction and I would speak it out loud. There was a moment where she was in the room and I was like, oh no, another contraction. And she was just like,
oh no, honey, don't think or talk like that, because if you anticipate the contraction like that, it's just gonna be worse.
I was like, can you not tell me that right now? Like, that is not encouraging me whatsoever. It's only making me feel worse, because honestly, what I realized is that I held myself to this high expectation, this pedestal where I'm a strong woman, I can do this, I can rock this without any epidural. And honestly, like, I hate to admit it, but I couldn't. My body couldn't. I just couldn't handle those intense contractions with all the Pitocin that I received. And I had to accept that. Honestly, if you think about it, it was kind of a prideful thing. I was just like, no, I can do this. I'm gonna get a prize once I do it without epidural. No. And it was honestly, I felt so much pressure, not from only my own expectation, but my mother was in the room. I wanted to, seem like this strong, amazing woman in front of my husband. Not that he was expecting that. He wanted me to just not be in that agony. It was really hard. It was really, really hard. Epidural was definitely in my mind, but I kept shutting it out of my mind, trying my best, right? And I told Daniel, I said, listen, if I get to a point where I want epidural, I don't want you to convince me not to do it. I want you to tell me, remind me why. Why did I choose this goal? Why was it important to me? And even after hearing that, I told him, if I still want an epidural, give me the epidural. And so that's what happened, guys. This was probably one of my favorite parts of my entire birth, besides delivering my child, of course. But casually said, oh man, I think I want the epidural. But everyone could kind of tell it wasn't serious. I was just saying that out of my pain. And then I got to this point where it was like the 6th hour, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I get emotional about it, but looking at it now, I'm just like, why did I put myself through that? Why did I do that to myself? But once again, it was because of the expectation I set for myself. I was like, Daniel, I looked at him and he knew I was serious. I said, listen, Daniel, I can't do this anymore. And so like the faithful husband he is, he started to remind me like I asked him to. And I didn't realize, obviously, because I was so consumed by my pain, but I just didn't realize how hard he had it, how hard it was for him to watch me in that agony. I mean, guys, I was screaming. Like, I always wondered, because I watched a million birth videos, I always wondered, am I gonna be that woman that screams like a dying animal? Yeah, pretty sure I was. I made sounds that I never knew I was capable of making. I didn't realize how much pain, mental pain, he was going through, and he just he broke down and he started crying, and he was like, listen, you told me to remind you, why, what your reason was for wanting to go without an epidural, but if you need it, honey, all I want is for you to be out of this pain. So whatever it takes to get our daughter here, that's all that matters. And I'm telling you, he was in tears, and I was just like, for a second there, I could like almost feel no pain because of how tangible his love was for me in that moment. I felt it. Like I could grab it with my hands. I was just like, yeah, thank you. I love you. Thank you for, he was so strong through this. He told me later how much he was trying so hard to be strong and not break down. He's so sweet. He's amazing. And so I said, yes, I need it. I need it. I need the epidural. Okay, so epidural. Just be aware, quick tip, if you get the epidural, it usually takes quite a while for it to get to you. There's a process they have to go through. Thankfully for me, they were able to get it to me pretty quickly. I would say maybe 20 minutes or so. And so the anesthesia, oh my gosh. If you want to know what it feels like, at least for me, it just felt like hardcore pressure in my spine. To me, it wasn't painful, it was just uncomfortable. I think at that point, with all the pain I was going through, they could have like chopped my arm off and I wouldn't have noticed. They said it's pretty quick. It goes through your body pretty quickly. And so the nurse kept asking me, and they ask you this throughout your labor, what's your pain level 1 to 10? I was at a 10. 15 was an option. I would have selected 15. She was asking me, you should be feeling a lot of relief by now. What's your pain level? I realized that the epidural is only helping the left side of my body. And so now all of the pain was concentrated on one side. I was still at a 10. It was so painful. And guys, my contractions didn't give me a break. As soon as they broke my water, my contractions, even before they broke my water, were pretty close already as far as minutes in between the contraction. My contractions were like 1 to 2 minutes apart. So I didn't get a break. That was another part of the challenge. The anesthesiologist had to come back in and kind of like, I don't know, maneuver the needle in my back, which sounds wild. And she had to kind of do that a couple times, and it finally worked. You guys, there was a point where the nurse looked at me and said, hey, did you know that you're contracting right now? What? I couldn't believe it. I didn't feel anything, and it felt so good. Oh my gosh, I was in that moment in euphoria. Like I was in heaven, you guys. I didn't feel any pain, and I was contracting, and I could not believe it. And I was so, in that moment, just so thankful for medicine. So thankful for medicine. So thankful. And I just want to take this tiny little snippet right here to tell you, listen, if you're like me and you just gave yourself so much pressure to go without epidural and you got the epidural, you're still amazing. You were able to get a baby from your stomach through your vagina into the world. That is something to be proud of, no matter how you did it. So give me a high five. So guys, I didn't feel my contractions anymore, and it was heavenly. Now, this is where it gets a little traumatic, and this is also where I'm so thankful for my nurse. She didn't tell me this was happening, which was a good idea because I probably would have panicked in the moment. But what was happening is my contractions were literally, there was no breaks. I was just contracting and contracting and contracting. No wonder I was in so much pain. My baby's heartbeat started to do things it wasn't supposed to. It was in distress. So she had to change monitors just to make sure that it wasn't like a technical thing. It wasn't, it was really happening. And so she's like, listen, I need to check you. I need to see how dilated you are. Guys, I had only had my epidural for maybe 30, 40 minutes or so. And she's like, yeah, I need to check you. She checks me, and I will never forget this moment. She's like, oh my gosh, you're 10 centimeters. You're about to have this baby girl. And mind you, before the last time I was checked, which was about an hour and a half before this, I was 4 centimeters, okay? Usually average, everybody's different, average, you dilate 1 centimeter per hour. I went from 4 to 10 in about an hour and a half. You know what that showed me? That showed me that as much as, yes, like I will try again to go without epidural, but my body needed it. My body, my baby needed that epidural. It's almost as if the epidural let my body just relax and open up the pathway for my daughter to enter the world. I couldn't believe it, and she couldn't believe it either. She actually, she's like, hold on. I have to check again. I'm like doubting myself. So she checked me again, and I was 10 centimeters. She's like, oh my gosh, your baby's head's right there. You're about to pop this baby out. I could not believe it. I looked at Daniel and we were just like, okay, here we go. They started prepping everything. She started explaining things to me, you know, getting the doctor ready, whatever. And I'm so thankful God always is watching out for me. A male doctor was supposed to deliver my baby. Well, he got caught up in a C-section. My midwife that I did see for a couple appointments, she ended up delivering my baby, and she is exactly who I needed, and I am so thankful for her. Once again, the nurse, don't let anybody ever tell you that something is definitely gonna happen. Studies can tell you that it's more probable for something to happen during delivery, but that doesn't mean it will happen to you. Don't be fearful of the things you hear, but be prepared that it could happen. She told me, she said, she was prepping me for what to expect. And she said, listen, and you're a first-time mom, right? Yes. You're gonna tear, so just expect that. And I was like, okay. Some women don't tear. I was still prepared to tear. I mean, it's very, very common, but I'm just like, don't tell me what's gonna happen. Like, don't prophesy what's gonna happen to my body. You don't know that. By the way, I didn't tear. Guys, I was able to take like a little snooze with my epidural. Yeah, it was amazing. I was able to go back and watch my birth video, and I couldn't believe how peaceful it was. It was so peaceful and calm and honestly amazing. And I'm not ashamed of getting that epidural anymore. I'll maybe put in a couple clips right here.
I have a feeling there's a cord wrapped somewhere, so I'm gonna tell you to stop pushing. You gotta stop.
Okay.
So whenever you feel a contraction, we're gonna just start pushing.
I
Okay?
don't necessarily feel them.
Oh,
Ooh, pressure.
Yep.
so I'm just gonna cut out your baby's hair right there.
Oh my gosh.
See how big you are?
How is it gonna fit in that hole?
There you go. That's it. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep go. Go.
8, 9, relax. Good job. You're doing great.
I lay there and I'm ready. My baby's head is down low. My baby's ready to come out. I just listened to the midwife. She told me to push, rest. A couple more pushes, rest. And gosh, I would say I pushed maybe like 5 to 6 times. And my baby was there. My baby came into the world, and it was really such an amazing experience. I can't believe I did it. I pushed out a child. I did it. I pushed out my precious baby into this world, and now she's here. And once again, it doesn't matter how your baby comes out into this world. All that matters is that your baby makes it here alive, right? Mama, don't be hard on yourself. Just know that you're capable. You were made to do this, and you're gonna do it. Whether it's naturally, with the help of intervention, with the help of medicine, you're gonna do it. And it's gonna be a beautiful experience.
Cheers, Mom. Cheers, guys. Do it one more time.
Go, push. There's a hand.
There she is. You did it.
The time is 2:44. 14:44. That's it.
There it is.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
All right guys, well, that's it for my birth story. I love talking about it. Please drop down any questions you have. I would love to answer them. I will also be recording a postpartum video because, oh my goodness, you can read a million articles and it's never gonna prepare you. And it was really hard. So I'm gonna definitely record a video on that. So make sure you stay tuned. Turn on your bell notification to be notified when my next video comes out. Make sure you subscribe and like this video, and I will see you next time. Don't forget to live and love out loud. Bye.